So thanks so much for your time, everyone. I really appreciate it. I'm Roy from the Lemonade Foundation. The Lemonade Foundation is the nonprofit arm of Lemonade, the insurtech company, and our mission is to use exponential technology like blockchain to solve real-world problems. And we're really excited to tell you about the first project that we're going to be working on to do exactly that. It's called the Lemonade Crypto Climate Coalition. Etherisk is part of it. And it's the first organization built from the ground up, first Web3 organization built from the ground up to protect subsistence farmers from climate risk. But before I go into a bit more detail about that, I'd like to start with an observation and a prediction. My observation is that although blockchain has the potential to bring about dramatic, fundamental, maybe even historic changes to the way we function as a society, those changes have not yet trickled down and affected the people most in need: the unbanked, the uninsured, and the unprotected. And my prediction is that insurance is the bridgehead that will allow us to use blockchain to influence the real world. And that's especially true for climate change. And I hope when I finish this presentation, you'll see why I believe this. Let's go into a bit more detail. So I guess we're all here because we believe in the power of blockchain to create a future that's, collectively owned. But in the 13 years, excuse me, since Bitcoin white paper, I'm not sure how much of that potential has been released and used to change the lives of the people who really need this the most. And this is something that we've been thinking about a lot at the Lemonade Foundation: commit to not investing in fossil fuel. This is a problem that's in our minds, very important. Unfortunately, it's also intensifying, right? So climate risk is becoming worse over time, which means more droughts and more floods. And even more unfortunately, those droughts and floods are predominantly affecting the developing world or the emerging economies. And in the developing world, we have 500 million smallholder farms. That's almost 2 billion people, a quarter of the world population, that basically live off what they grow. And for them, too little or too much rain is literally life-threatening. I know some of the people here work in this space, so you're very familiar with it. And unfortunately, today these people have no option but to bear the risk of climate change on their own. One of the things that I remember, I grew up in Kenya, and one of the things that I remember is that this is very, very prevalent. So in Kenya, for example, where I grew up, less than 3% of people even have access to insurance, let alone have bought insurance. And we believe that blockchain potentially could be a tool to pool this risk, to flatten the curve. And the tool to do that is insurance. If we're able to use insurance and weather data and blockchain together, we believe we can unlock the main inhibitor of scaling for insurance in the developing world until now, and that's costs. So for a traditional insurer, providing this type of insurance in the developing world is just not feasible. going through an underwriting process, which is complicated and expensive, is not going to happen when premiums are so low, $2, $3, $4, $5 per farmer per planting season. Even if you did have underwriting, distribution would be impossible because traditional companies work through brokers and agents who take a cut of the premium. And if the premium is so low, that's not going to happen. And even if you did do that, claim processing would be impossible because the actual processing of the claim could potentially cost more than the payout. So this is what the Lemonade Crypto Climate Coalition wants us to do. We brought in companies from different walks of life, from insurance, reinsurance, from Web3, and from data. And the idea is to work together to solve this problem. And the way we want to solve it is using a DAO instead of a traditional insurance company, smart contracts instead of policy documents, oracles instead of claims adjusters. And if we're able to do that, we can potentially turn something that's unsustainable to a product that's infinitely scalable, because the blockchain can reach rural Kenya just as it can reach Peru or Papua New Guinea. Another important factor is that we want to provide this at cost. So the expected loss of the farmer is what we're going to be charging them. There's, at least for the DAO, there's going to be no profit in this. By doing this, we hope, again, to solve the cost problem. And a very good use case to do that is weather data. And the reason this is a great use case is that weather data can be objectively measured, it can be instantly reported, and it can be automatically triggered, which means we can use historical databases to price the insurance, and then we can use real-time weather data to trigger the events, which means that a farmer can have instant payout, which is much, much better than the process that they are conducting today. And something I forgot to mention, who the hell trusts their insurance company, right? So if you think about it, another upside of this, the way that we're structuring it, is that this can help us go from a model that's distrusted to a model that's trustless. Because when the decision about making or not making a payment is taken away from some nameless bureaucracy, and it's right there, it's on chain for everyone to see, for everyone to validate, it means that, it doesn't mean that the stakeholders don't trust each other. It just means that they don't have to trust each other because the code and the data make the decision. This is also something that hopefully and potentially could be a big unlock for blockchain-based insurance. And just because it's on chain, it doesn't mean that it has to be complicated. And again, many of the speakers here will be very familiar with this. This is, for example, M-Pesa in Kenya. The way that we are envisioning the product is that the farmer will not have to change the way they interact with the world at the moment. So directly from their phone, they'll be able to get a immediate insurance quote. They'll be able to buy it from their phone using a mobile wallet like M-Pesa. And then behind the scenes, under the hood, we'll take that money, we'll park it in a smart contract on the Avalanche blockchain, which is very, very low gas fees. And also, because it's proof of stake, it doesn't have a detrimental environmental effect. And then once a trigger event happens and is reported through the Oracle, through Chainlink to the chain, we can transfer that information, and the money flows back into the same phone, the same mobile wallet that bought the policy. Initially, the Lemonade Crypto Climate Coalition is going to be funding the capital to backstop these insurance policies, these smart contracts. But over time, we want to allow every crypto investor to participate in this. We're also beginning issuing a token that will allow or incentivize the broader community to take part. And just a bit about the timeline. We formed a coalition. We're at the moment in the process of working on the white paper, registering the DAO. We hope to launch a pilot towards Q4 in Africa, which we're already working on, and then use next year to scale and to issue a governance token. As I said in the beginning, I think we all agree on this, that blockchain has the potential to make dramatic, maybe even historic changes in our society. And our job in the coalition is to make sure that those changes happen. We brought together a group of unlikely business partners from different walks of life to work together on one of the most ambitious challenges I think there are out there to try to use blockchain to impact the real world. And if we're able to use insurance as a bridgehead and to unleash the power of blockchain, we'll be able to influence and impact the lives of the people who need us the most, the unbanked, the uninsured, and the unprotected. If you're interested, or if you are excited about this project just like we are, I urge you to kind of like drop us an email to subscribe@lemonade.org. We'd love to be in touch. That's it for me. Please let us know if you want to be part of this. Thank you very much. If we have time for a few questions, I'm happy to. If not, I can drop off, whatever works.
I'll ask the audience, are you able to hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Does anybody have a question? I think your presentation was extremely clear. There's a question.
Could you maybe say, thank you very much for the presentation, could you maybe say a word about the pilot that you want to launch in Q3?
Did you have a question?
No, I didn't.
Could you perhaps give a few words about the pilot we're about to execute in Africa?
Of course. So it will only be a few words, unfortunately. But what we want to do is we want to take the biggest risks to this type of project and see if we can de-risk it, right? So see if we can build a product that goes from the consumer all the way through the chain to the investor, and kind of like if you put capital in one side, it goes out the other side and all the way back. Where we haven't decided exactly on which part of Africa will be doing this, West Africa or East Africa. It's going to be sub-Saharan Africa. And it's also dependent on the planting season. So it might be in the summer, it might be towards the end of the year. But it will be a pilot that's its main purpose is to make sure that this is feasible and possible, not so much a pilot that's meant to create scale, if that makes sense. And again, once that pilot is hopefully up and running, we hope to scale that pilot pretty quickly in the same territory to more customers, to more farmers, to different countries, and also to the larger crypto community to allow investment and to issue a token.
Thank you, Ron. I see another question over here.
Yes, I have a question. So I understand like P2P concept and then like how you're like trying to apply to the real world problems. But I have a question like how you apply DAO, like a decentralized autonomous organization concept into this project, because it's usually for like programmers, community members of the crypto asset world to kind of play some roles to reduce costs. But in this case, the end users are more like farmers. So I would like to understand how you apply that concept into this case.
Okay, Roy, we have another question in the audience. It's about how do we apply a DAO in a real life, in a real use case. People have heard about DAOs in the crypto environment, so how will this function in this project? How will a DAO function in this project?
So there are I think there are two phases for this, for using a DAO in this type of project. The first phase is that the DAO is basically going to be the risk-bearing entity, right? There's not going to be a different risk-bearing entity other than the DAO. If you think about it, the concept that we're thinking about is similar to Compound or Uniswap. It's going to be a decentralized platform on the blockchain that basically has a risk pool, and the risk pool will be the risk-bearing entity. So there will not be a different company. The Lemonade Foundation is not going to be bearing the risk. The Lemonade Foundation initially will be funding the reinsurance, but it'll be on-chain, and that on-chain capital is going to be backstopping through a decentralized platform, going to be backstopping the insurance policies. So the first instance is that the DAO is actually, this is the way we organize the insurance product, the capital allocation. Over time, and this will happen as we issue a governance token, we hope that the community will be part of the governance of this DAO. So for example, we hope the community will help fund it, fund capital, help be part of the decision-making around, how exactly do we price? For example, if we're able to move pricing from off-chain and place it on-chain and allow basically a distributed actuarial model that could potentially decrease costs, make it more accurate. So the second phase of using that DAO is not only as a risk-bearing entity, but as a way for the community to organize itself and to influence and use these decentralized tools to provide and provision insurance basically globally. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, the question is answered. Are there any other questions? I think we have time for one more question. No? Okay. Roy, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very clear.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there with you, but looks like a really amazing presentation, everyone. I've been watching some of it, and I hope to see everyone soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.